Hey everybody, Erica here from In the Company of Cards. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. So, Friday edition. I don't know. Yesterday I was so confused as to what day it was. I thought it was Friday yesterday, but obviously it wasn't. So here we are, Friday. So I just thought I'd look at some issues that are kind of big ones, not necessarily related to each other. You know how I like to kind of freestyle. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much. If you are not, I'd love it if you would become one. Just all you have to do is hit the button. If you'd like to be notified of when I put up a video, just hit that notification button, set it to all as opposed to personalized. That will ensure that you see everything that I post. The algorithm is doing its little weird algorithmy thing that I am not in the mood to try and second guess. I think that kind of is a joy sucker, so I'm not entertaining that. If you're here, and I'm delighted to have you here. Okay, so first things first. Apparently, there's that UFC thing going on, and on Sunday, the UFC Fighters Challenge, whatever. It is, as you know, um, an outside event. Um, it is meant to be hot and thunderstormy, and but beyond that, and the as I said, I thought would happen. There was a lawsuit, and I said that I thought that the judge would tell the plaintiff, the entity bringing the lawsuit, trying to stop the UFC fight. I told you that I thought that the judge would say that that plaintiff did not have standing to bring the case, and that is exactly what happened. So it will go on unless an act of God prevents it from going on. But there's another little additional glitch in the matrix there, which is that a pilot, separate and distinct from the entity that brought the original lawsuit, a pilot has sued and said that this dome or arena or Ferris wheel, it looks like a Ferris wheel to me, whatever that thing is, that it temporarily blinded him when he was trying to fly, in that airspace. He claims that it's a danger to air traffic. We know that the felon has said that he wants to keep this structure up permanently, kind of like his own personal Eiffel Tower. But I want to know if this pilot's lawsuit will gain any ground. I don't think it'll have any effect on whether or not the event goes on Sunday. I think that will happen. Um, Again, I think it will be either delayed or stopped early or something like that because of weather. But in terms of whether the structure stays there or whether this pilot, his suit is found to have standing, that's what I want to know. Will that structure have to come down after the event? Um, I think that I'm going to use the tower for the structure, um, just because the tower does, one of the meanings of the tower is structure. Granted, this one is like round. Like I said, it looks like a big Ferris wheel or something, um, or some kind of amusement ride. But for the sake of the question, for the purposes of the question, the tower is going to stand for that structure. And I want to know what will happen with that structure. Okay. So here's the structure. Mm. Okay, we have the stars, we have the mice, we have the tower, we have the fox, and we have the birds. I do think that, I mean, if you think of birds, birds fly, do they not? So think of these as planes in the sky, planes in the sky. And the fact that this structure is problematic, I think it will be taken down, coming right before the building, the structure itself, the tower. I think it will be taken down. The mice eat away at this card, erode it. So I think it will have to be taken down. Um, you know, the fox is a card that I can mirror with the mice. And I actually I like the fox. I think that the fox is on our side here. I mean, thank God that the pilot filed the suit. I'm sorry he went through that. It must have been terrifying for him to be disoriented in that way. But this is us being tricky and saying, yeah, no, that's got to come down because, you know, in the sky, things fly, planes fly, and if this is a danger, a hazard, that thing can't stay up. So it'll be up there for Sunday, but then I think it will be taken down. Um, Now, speaking of taken down, the felon's name was supposed to have been taken off the Kennedy building, the Kennedy Center for the Arts, Performing Arts. It was supposed to have been taken down by today. Today's the 12th. And last I checked, there was a live feed showing the scaffolding being erected, and the scaffolding had been erected to the height of where his name is. But then last time I checked, the scaffolding is there, but no people are there. No workers are there. There was a last minute suit brought by the members of the board of the Kennedy Center. Of course, these are all felon appointed board members trying to stop the removal of his name. That did not work. And yet it's not down. So I just want to know, will his name be taken down tonight? I mean, the order said today. The suit was denied. So let's just, I don't think I'll pull a significator. I'm just going to pull 5 cards. No, I'm going to use, you know what? I'm going to use the tower again. And this time the tower will stand for the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. And what I'm asking is, will the building be restored to its original, you know, designation as just the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts? Okay. So we saw the tower before, but this time it's standing for the Kennedy Center. Will that felon's name be taken off today? I mean, it's summertime. It's not like it's dark outside yet. Crawl up there and take that thing down. Let's see. Looking for the tower. Here it is. We have the anchor, we have the ring, we have the tower that's just this time standing for the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. We have the house, and we have the whip. On the eve of his birthday, uh, any day of the year, but certainly on the eve of his birthday, this is quite a humiliation for him, and he is mad as a wet hen. This is the White House, and this is him yelling at everybody he can yell at. The whip is the card for that kind of angry, argumentative conversation. So he is really mad. Of course, this is the Kennedy Center. And this makes me think that it will be restored to the way that it was supposed to be. The circle will be unbroken. The original name, the original intention, which was to honor a slain president of the United States who was much beloved, unlike certain people. Um, it will happen, but I find it very interesting that we have these two cars. The order said it was to come down today. Ideally, assuming that it doesn't, because now it's what time? 8:30 is it 8:30? Yeah, in the East. Um, it could be getting a little late. I don't know what these workers might have, hours that they can work. Maybe it is getting too dark to go up there and do it right now. But I hope there's a penalty for it being taken down late. Penalty to be paid by the felon. Of course, he'll just take that money from us. So, but it will be restored in the way that the court has ordered it to be. So that's good. Um, on Monday, there will be a hearing, and this is, if you remember, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is kind of uh, you know, I mean, it's a watch group kind of, and a clearinghouse to identify and root out um, racist entities like, you know, KKK, Nazis, that kind of thing. Anyway, they're a good organization, and so of course the felon decided to sue them, Justice Department, suing them for what? Well, because of course you may have gotten emails, I've gotten emails, I've given them money before. The Southern Poverty Law Center solicits funds to keep themselves operating. And their money goes to a lot of things, but like a lot of fundraising, um, entities, they don't sort of tell you necessarily by the penny where exactly their money's going to. So some of their money goes to pay informants, you know, um, informants who can tell them where these bad deed doers like KKK and people like that can be found. Um, Payment for people who infiltrate those organizations as well. Now, this is all, I mean, I thought this was common knowledge. And it's also true that the Southern Poverty Law Center has always shared their information with the FBI. And the FBI was in past times happy to get that information. And they knew full well how the Southern Poverty Law Center got the information. Obviously, sometimes you have to pay people for information. Well, anyway, in a cynical nod to the ethical, it's ridiculous. The DOJ said, well, you didn't inform your donors, like when you send out appeals for, funding appeals, you did not inform your donors that their money could potentially be going to paying an informant. And so that is, you're taking people's money under false pretenses. And a lot of people probably wouldn't want to give to you if they knew that their money was going in the pocket of a KKK person, because the KKK person was an informant. Um, it's ridiculous. It's an incredibly cynical argument. Anyway, it's just a way to get, you know, to cause the Southern Poverty Law Center a problem, to cost them money, time, energy, all of the rest of it, aggravation. Well, anyway, Um, recently, uh, the government, in their zeal, uh, let some information out that was supposed to have been kept secret, during this whole indictment court case process. They let it slip. They made it public. So the judge has said, on Monday, I want the plaintiffs, meaning the DOJ, to show cause as to why I shouldn't uh, find this problematic. Like, you're not supposed to do that, and you knew that you weren't supposed to do that, and you did it anyway. So I suspect, what will happen then Monday is that the DOJ will get up there and say humana, humana, humana. And the what I hope will happen is that the judge says, well, you know what? You screwed up. You let that information go public. You shouldn't have done it. And so there is a remedy for that. And the remedy will be dismissing the case. So I just want to know, what will this judge decide? Um, and the judge may not decide on Monday. He could, I guess, but Monday certainly is the hearing where the plaintiffs, meaning the DOJ, has to show cause why they shouldn't be in some way punished or sanctioned for doing what they did. And of course, one of the sanctions can be dismissal of the case. So let's make the tower work harder, work hard today. And this time the tower will stand for the court's decision on whether or not the Southern Poverty Law Center whether that indictment will hold up. Okay, so we want to know, what will the judge decide in that case? Will the case be dismissed? Or will there be some other punishment remedy? Okay, so I'm looking for tower. That will stand for the court and the judge. Again, they may not decide this on Monday. So here they are. So, when you're reading a spread, the way I'm reading, you have to take certain things into account, right? So one of them would be the question. And the way you phrase a question is really important. It's also important to remember who's doing the reading. And I happen to be doing the reading on our behalf. And I assume that most of my viewers, because why else would you be here, um, think that this is a sham indictment and would like to see it dismissed. So if I see a positive outcome, I'm going to assume that the positive outcome is for our team, our side. So, and conversely, if I saw a negative outcome, that would also be for our side. Okay, so we have the ship, the fox, the tower, the star, and the key. So, here we are, moving forward. which made me a little nervous because does that mean what? That the case moves forward? Uh, this is the DOJ trying to be slick and stick it to the Southern Poverty Law Center under the auspices of doing the opposite, under the auspices of looking out for the donating public. It's BS. That's not what they were doing at all. It's a nuisance lawsuit. It's a frivolous lawsuit. It's a lawsuit meant to be a nuisance, basically, to harm the Southern Poverty Law Center. Okay, here's the court, and the clarifiers are the rider, the stork, and the moon. I really feel like the judge will send the message by the verdict that they render. I don't think it'll be Monday. It could be, but whenever they render it, I think they will restore the good name of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Stork is positive change. This is reputation. So I think they will restore the good name by vacating the case, by throwing the case out. Okay. Our fourth card in our original line is the star, and the clarifiers are the anchor, the young man, and the whip. But the Southern Poverty Law Center does good work. They have done good work for a long time, for decades, and they will continue to do it. They are champions for justice, and they are not afraid to take on a bully toe to toe. And then we have the key at the end, and I like the key. I always tell you it's a yes card. It's considered a yes card. My question was, will the judge throw the case out as the remedy for the bad deeds of the DOJ in releasing whatever they released that they shouldn't have released? So we have the key, we have the ring, the fish, and the heart. So yes. And these all are very emotional cards. And I think we will be the ones feeling the emotions on behalf of the SPLC. I mean, as a Black person, I am grateful to them. And so their work will continue. Um, this is the card for emotion. The thing is, this will have cost them money to put up a defense. So, but people who love them will support them so that their work can go forward. So yeah, I think the judge is going to say to the DOJ, get out of here. You thought you were slick, but no. Okay. I had to sneeze. Phew. I could have paused the video, but I mean, come on. Human beings sometimes sneeze, right? Okay, so that's good news. All right. Um, Here's another one. So the post office. Now, the post office is under the auspices of the felon. We know that the felon is against mail-in voting, even though he himself votes by mail, but we'll leave that alone. The felon does not believe that there should be mail-in voting, of course, because he believes that will help his side. If everybody has to go, what he wants is everybody goes to the polling place uh, during the same 8-hour period, and oh well, if you can't get in, by the time their doors close, then guess your vote doesn't count. I mean, he's going to do everything he can, right, to try to stack the deck his way. So one of his methods is to use the post office. So he put out a thing, made an order, presidential order, that says that the post office will not mail send mail-in ballots to any citizens of any states who refuse to give the felon their voter rolls. Now, I mean, and there are states that say, what do you mean give you the voter rolls? Remember that time when he said to the guy in Georgia, I just need X number of votes. That's all I need. Of course, he wants access to the voter rolls. So uh, now this too will become a court case. So I want to know, um, will we have still have mail-in voting for the midterms in November? Will we still have mail-in voting for the midterms, or will the felon have taken that off the table? You know, they say all is fair in love and war, and he is at war with the American people. So he'll do anything. So we want to know, will we have mail-in voting for the midterms? So I'm going to use the letter because the letter stands for ballots here for this question. Okay. Remember, we're looking for the letter. Okay, we have the young man, we have the garden, the letter, the rider, the mice. Don't love the mice. Um, why does one read cards? Is it to see something that is written in stone so that you can just curl up in a ball and die, wait for the end? No. It's so that if a situation looks a certain way and you don't like that certain way that it looks, think about what you can do to change it. Everything is mutable. Or conversely, let's say that he manages to do this and you can't vote by mail because you didn't get the ballot because your state would not give him the voter roll information. Thank God. What then is the alternative? I mean, I guess it's to get in line so that you can vote in person. Uh, I don't like those mice. But let me look here at the vote. Okay. So I pulled clarifiers for, um, well, let me just say, so I don't think I discussed the cards. I said what they were, but I didn't really talk about the main one, or the line of five. This is just a bold, bully, aggressive move to disenfranchise us. I can mirror these two cards. The thing is, though, the public, which is what the garden stands for, will equally be sending a message if he tries to do something like this. Okay. So I pulled clarifiers for the vote, mail-in ballot. I got fish, I got woman, and I got clover. So more and more people are going to be feeling a certain kind of way about the e-files, feeling a certain kind of way, feeling fish, a certain kind of way about the e-files, um, which is to the benefit of a large voter turnout in the midterms. So I'll just say that. however we vote. We have the rider, so that's like news coming in. The message clarifiers are star, the felon, and the key. The message that he will be giving, assuming that he gets to do this, is, I'm the boss of everybody and it's going to be my way forever. Here we have this disenfranchisement card, right? Sort of decreasing um, our taking away her rights. Um, this will be responded to uh, aggressively, we'll just say. And then we have the ring and the sun. And I think the response would be so widespread and negative that we would be able to keep mail-in voting, that the post office will send us our ballots. That's what I'm thinking. Now, of course, we're months away, but not that many months. So keep an eye on that case. I will keep an eye on that case as well for us. Hopefully, the court will say you can't do that. But if the court doesn't say that, we have to be willing to make our own voices heard on this issue. And again, it's one of those very obvious attempts at disenfranchisement. Okay. Now, the next two questions I could roll probably into one question, but probably will pull a couple of spreads to answer. I'm very interested, as all of us are, in the fact that the excerpt from this Haberman book from the Times, which showed how complicit the entire administration was in protecting the felon from being outed, in terms of how involved he is and how present he is in the Epstein files and in Epstein land. Um, what lengths they went to protect him, and how long that's been going on, and how many people were involved. This makes, everybody look, all of them look bad. Um, I will say that the one person who looks least bad, still bad, but least bad, is JD. Why do I say that? Because JD, from the very beginning, he thought that he was all for releasing the files. He thought, because he's not part of the whole Epstein circle, I guess because he prefers couches, but anyway, he thought that what the Epstein files were going to uncover was this cabal of Democrats. Not that there's not Democrats in the files, by the way, because there are, but he thought it was going to be this huge, indictment of the Democrats. Well, imagine, come to find out, it was a shock to him. I do believe that, to find out that the guy you agreed to be the vice president for, who campaigned on releasing the files, is the main character in the play. So when they were trying to figure out what they were going to do in these situation room meetings, as I mentioned yesterday, JD was all about let them all out, say all of it, you know. Um, let Tucker Carlson interview Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay. um, put it all out there, because then you look like you're above board, not trying to hide anything. Well, that's true, except that everybody was trying to hide everything. So that's why JD got overruled. Now, I say that JD comes out, um, if anybody is going to smell more like a rose than a rat, it's going to be JD because of that stance. However, the fact remains that he still knew what he knew and didn't say, okay, you know what? I'm going to resign. Or, I'm going to, I mean, he could have done any number of things, but he didn't. He just was a good soldier and, tried not to talk about it too much. And, you know, um, I mean, that's the most that you can say for him. But now we are on a sinking ship. And so all of the rats on the sinking ship are trying to survive, right? Some of them are going to leave, like Susie Wiles, she'll leave. Um, Pam Bondi's gone. Don Bongino left. Uh, some of them, some of them, I guess, will stay till the bitter end. But JD has a decision to make. Now, I have heard through the grapevine, I have not heard this in any official way, that he has started to make noise about not running for 2028, in 2028, not running, in a primary in 2028, which would certainly explain why none of us who do this work have seen JD as president in his own right. We've seen him taking over should the felon no longer be able to fulfill his obligation as president. But in terms of 2028, none of us have seen JD uh, campaigning in a primary, winning a primary, and then winning the general. None of us have seen that. And it's been quite puzzling to all of us. Like, why not? Wouldn't that be the natural order of things? I have my own theory. I think that JD, and then of course, remember, Peter Thiel has decamped to Argentina. Now, this is JD's handler. Um, I think that JD is really thinking about his future. Would he be better served, joining some entity and making a ton of money? Would he be better served leaving government and writing a tell-all book? Would he be perceived? This is why I say this is two questions in one that I'll kind of split up when I actually look. Would he be perceived as the hero of the story? There are no heroes in the story, but anyway, would he be perceived as the hero of the story if he were to, oh, I don't know, enact Section 4 of the 25th Amendment? Wouldn't that be uh, having his cake and eating it too, right? Convening the cabinet, making a case for removal, saying that it is a distraction to everyone. It is uh, not good for us in terms of anything, that the felon is non compos mentis beyond that, aside from immoral, and a grifter and a thief, entertainment purposes only, and allegedly. Um, couldn't he make a case to the cabinet? Now, you have to think about who's in the cabinet. People like Hegseth and Marco Rubio, they are ride or die for the felon. I mean, you've got Rubio comparing the UFC thing to President Kennedy declaring that we were going to put a man on the moon. It's that great a thing. How is he making those parallel? Because he says The greatness of America is that people dream up big things that nobody thinks can be done, and then we do them. Like we put somebody on the moon. Oh, and like we're going to have a cage fight on the White House lawn. But anyway, clearly Marco is a sycophant. He wears shoes that the felon buys him from Florsheim that are too big. I mean, come on. Marco knows he has the professional credentials to make a play for the nomination for the 28 election. So he's got to, if he agrees to 25th Amendment the felon, if Marco agreed, would that hurt him or help him with a Trump base that is on life support? Maybe it'll make him a hero. Maybe it'll make him the new figurehead. This is all these things are going through his mind. He's not figurehead material, but anyway, I'm sure that these thoughts are going through his mind. But the fact of the matter is that the vice president is the one who has to set things in motion. And so for JD, he's now about to have four mouths to feed, plus Usha. Usha doesn't look too happy these days, but that could be from being 8 months pregnant. If I remember correctly, that was, you know, not fun. Um, could he have a happier home life if he said, this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to 25th Amendment him. They'll name me the president. Usha, that'll make you the first lady for a hot minute. The kids can live in the White House and spend the rest of their lives saying that they did that for a hot minute. And then we're out of here. Then I'll go make a ton of money. We'll hire a nanny per kid. You can go back to work for the Heritage Foundation or whoever you want to go work for. And we will live happily ever after. I'll write a tell-all book. We'll be the hero of the story. I mean, I could see him thinking about all of this. So I just want to know, is the 25th, given the events of yesterday, right? Given this book excerpt, and that's just the excerpt, by the way. Who knows what else is in the book? I will say Maggie Haberman, hmm, and I'm not the first person to say this, reminds me of Michael Wolff, meaning they sit on a lot of information and then they dole it out when it's expedient or helpful to them career-wise. When, if they were real patriots, for the good of the country, they should just spill whatever they've got. But anyway, that's another story for another day. I want to know, what is JD thinking? Now, he's not old. I'll let him be the young man. Um, I do think by saying, well, let it all come out, that was an attempt to throw the felon under the bus, of course, right? Also, does he not know the felon? I think he thinks that the felon thinks I what the felon told us he thought, which is that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. So maybe JD took the felon at his word and said the felon should just cop to everything, and then we can move on. So it could be that he believed him. But anyway, where is JD now? And with wherever JD is now, can that get us any closer to the 25th Amendment? I don't know. Let's look. So we're going to use the young man card. That will be JD. Okay. So this is sort of general. Where is JD in all of this? What is he thinking? So we have the star, we have the crossroads, we have JD, we have the ship, and we have the dog. He absolutely is thinking about his future. Absolutely. And look, this is having been on one path and now contemplating, does he go on another path, which would involve invoking the 25th. He's the card in the center, and the ship, I can mirror it with the crossroads. I really think he wants out. He's not popular. Nobody likes him, not even his wife. He wishes this cup could be taken from him. But he also thinks, I haven't come this far to just give up. Uh, Now, this is the card for loyalty. To what does he most want to appear loyal? To the president who picked him as vice president at the behest of his son, Trump Jr.? Is that who he wants to be known and go down in history as being loyal to? Or is it to his version of the country in the future? Like, where does his loyalty lie? This is what he's grappling with. He's grappling with it on the one hand. On the other hand, there's this strong pull to just want this over, want it just desire to be, you know, unassociated with all of these players in this whole situation. So here's our star, card for hope, card for the future, etc. Clarifiers are the cross, the garden, and the snake. He knows full well that the public can't stand him. This is very painful for him. And people loved him when he wrote that hillbilly elegy thing. They made into a movie with Glenn Close, and he made a lot of money from that, put him on the national stage. He explained those people, even though he was actually not one of them, had a very middle class background. But anyway, people romanticized his story, but people don't like him for a million reasons that a lot of them have nothing to do with the felon, of course. So he knows that. He knows that he doesn't have a future in politics. Crossroads was our second card. The clarifiers are the tree, the clover, and the rider. He's really thinking, like I said, of just, ending this in the scenario that I suggested, which is get everybody on board, um, 25th, do the 25th Amendment, serve out the rest of the term, and then ride off into the sunset. Why? Well, for the health and happiness of yourself and your family. The health, the happiness. That's the message that he's getting when he thinks about which road should I take, what should I do? That you have a responsibility um, to ensure the happiness and the health of your family and yourself. And you look pretty miserable, bud. Here he is. Our fires are the woman, the moon, and the ring. this is, talking about their marriage. Um, you know, I mean, we often have wondered, I have wondered anyway. I'm not using the royal we, I'm not going to assume anything about you all, but for somebody who is as xenophobic as he is, why did he exactly pick Usha, whom he ran a statistical risk of having brown children with? And those children are brown. Like, did he think at the time that they got together that that was the direction that the country was going in? And so it would be a good look? Well, that was a miscalculation, wasn't it? Certainly with the MAGA base, right? There's no such thing as an honorary white person if you are brown or black in this country or Asian. Yeah. Um, and a lot of people find that out the hard way. That proximity to whiteness thing, I guess that was what Usha was all about. But at any rate, they are really thinking about, the two of them thinking about, who are we and who are we in this marriage and what do we want it to be now that number four is about to make their appearance any minute. So, you have to feel for them in that. And I do, I do. Fourth card was the ship. This is just packing up and, doing your duty for the last year and a half of the uh, reign of terror, and then going off into the sunset, making a lot of money, writing books, being a good dad, maybe a good husband. I don't know. But this is quitting the whole DC scene. But the clarifiers are the book, the child, and the son. Very interesting. So this is just quitting that whole scene. He doesn't know what he would do if he did that, like what his post presidential career would look like. But I'm pretty sure he would get invited to sit on boards of things and show up once a year and make hundreds of thousands of dollars for that single annual appearance. But he doesn't know. He really doesn't know what he wants to do. But something new and the prospect of something new, um, he likes that. That is the thought of that is the thing that can pull him out of his depression. Dog. Remember that this is the card for loyalty, and his loyalty is split. There's his family on one side, there is the felon, there is Peter Thiel, there is his own ambition, like there is the country itself, which is why theoretically, not really, but theoretically, why people go into public service. To what does he owe allegiance? Or what combinations of those things can help him make that decision? Look at the clarifiers: clouds, lily, coffin. You know what? I think that he hopes, like, if he could have anything, he would say, can't somebody just, I don't know, have a cerebral event? Can't, can't somebody just pass in their sleep, please? So that I don't have to deal with all of this stuff? Yeah, sure, I'll finish out the term and then go on my merry way, but I don't have to do that first thing, which is invoke the 25th and create that firestorm. Can't this old man just take a dirt nap? So he is currently, and that's what I wanted to know. What was his state of mind? I think he's currently experiencing, what do they call that? Analysis paralysis. He doesn't know what to do. I mean, as on a human level, you can feel for him. We should. We're good people here. Um, he does know one thing. However it goes, he's looking to completely transform his life. So that explains, I think, why we've never seen him. We diviners, we psychics have never seen him um, running for president, being nominated, winning. We haven't seen that. I think he is considering the 25th. The problem is the other people in the cabinet. I mean, I think the appeal he can make to them is he can say, listen, you guys, here's what we're going to say. We're going to say he kind of held us hostage. And so we were made to feel like we had no choice but to protect him from these allegations. And, it's not right that we should have been held hostage in that way. And, we are sorry that we allowed that to happen to ourselves. But now we are in a position to gang up on him and get rid of him. So what do you think, guys? It would be the one act of, redemption that we could undertake so that our names are not sullied forever with the stench of him. I mean, that would be the appeal you'd have to make to them. But you've got some cowardly people who are very ambition driven. To those people, he's going to have to appeal to their ambition. Marco, don't you want to be on the right side of things? I'm not going to run. So the field is yours, Marco. You can be the prodigal son who saw the light and voted yes for impeachment. Why not? I don't know. I think it's very interesting, and we'll have to stay tuned. But I think we are tilting towards the 25th. But I think that takes courage, and these are not people that have been imbued with that particular um, quality in any measurable degree. So we'll see. Okay, everybody. So that's that for now. Look for me on Sunday evening, where I will have put up a Sunday conversation with Sheila Haidt. She is a wonderful, wonderful Black astrologer. I've known her for a while, and a tarotist, but we're going to be talking astrology, and we're going to be looking at the astrology of our nation as part of this run up to the 250th anniversary. So I know it'll be a good conversation because, like I said, I already had the conversation and then forgot to record it. So we will be having the same conversation because the energies remain the same in the sky. So do tune in for that. I'm not sure what time I'll be putting it up, but probably um, probably 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern probably is when it'll go up. So something for you to eat dinner to or put yourself to sleep with. But I don't think you'll be put to sleep because Sheila's really interesting. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your presence and your companionship here. I do read all the comments and really appreciate them. And I will see you soon. Take care.